This video, 4 tips on how to plot your memoir, is part of 2 videos on how to create effective plotting in your memoir. Developing a memoir plot is something that people don't think of much when they decide to write a memoir. Have you yourself thought about how a memoir needs plotting, about how your memoir needs to have some plotting? A memoir has to keep the attention of its readers, and one technique that keeps a reader reading is plot development. A plot is an aggregate of actions. In other words, all the memoir actions put together add up to a memoir plot. But before we go on, let me welcome you to the Memoir Network's Better Memoir Writing Masterclasses. For those of you who do not know me, I am Denis Ledoux. I'm a writer, I'm a teacher, and I'm founder of the Memoir Network. I'm so pleased that you have joined me today for this masterclass. This masterclass is brought to you by the Memoir Network's coaching services. A writing coach offers you just-in-time solutions, be it providing you with technical guidance, teaching specific writing skills, prompting you to action, or counseling you through the writing blocks and planning a writing schedule, and much more. Schedule a complimentary Get Acquainted session by going to the address listed in the description of this video. Oh, and I'll also have a bonus for you at the end of this video. Now, let's begin the masterclass. Action is the memoir's movement. It is the memoir's activity. Action drives your story and keeps your readers interested in what will happen next. The reader's interest adds up to the reader's retention. Writing with effective action is the key to creating life stories that people want to read. In this video, I will offer you 4 tips for developing your memoir plot and thus making your memoir more interesting. First of all, and I believe this merits repetition, the aggregate of the actions of your memoir is its plot. Generally speaking, something must happen in your story to retain the interest of your reader. Some people have had roles in the political, economic, cultural life of their times. These people's lives exhibit an external drama. They, just like those of us who have not had these dramatic roles, must find a way to convey their stories in a way that is not only dramatic, but that is developed dramatically. In other words, every memoir must be sustained by dramatic development rather than merely by the drama of its actions. It may not be obvious, but the drama of a life can be presented in a boring manner. In the next video, I will provide an example of a dramatic action, a house on fire in the middle of the night, but it is portrayed in a boring manner. But that presentation is for the next video. The amount of action necessary to retain interest varies enormously according to the sensibility and the education of different readers. Someone who prefers reading about ghosts and unpredictable supernatural occurrences, about dystopian events, will not find the English psychological novelist Virginia Woolf very interesting. In fact, that person will find Woolf rather boring. But it remains true that readers, both of pulp fiction and of serious writing, need some sort of action, plotting to move the story along. Although much of Virginia Woolf's action is internalized within her characters, this adds up to plot nevertheless. Second, the action of a story is best started in the middle of things. If you are writing about the time you got fired from a job, don't start with the first vocational aptitude test you took in high school. Instead, start when you are given a warning by a supervisor and proceed to the inevitable, unhappy conclusion. Only with this sort of quick pacing will you keep the interest of the reader. In this story of being fired, A lot of the action would also be internal as the narrator shares emotions, anticipation, reaction. The third technique to pay attention to in developing the drama of your story is that explanations and background material are best given briefly, often preferably in short phrases. Avoid the lengthy informational flashback. Providing too much context can overwhelm your story and dissipate the energy of the action. Avoid writing something like Groveton, an industrial city founded in 1809, and having a large population of Slovaks who started coming in 1892, Hungarians who first migrated in 1896, Belarusians who arrived in 1899, and the Greeks whose numbers swelled after 1901, and the Armenians who arrived around 1909. This city was the birthplace of my father. Well, all the above information about the town can be provided in introductory phrases, positives, and adjectives, and frankly, it would be more interesting. Here's how you might have better written the above paragraph. See how much it is shortened without really losing a sense of what you want to say. My father was born in Groveton, an industrial city awash with waves of immigrants. This second example of a paragraph gives the information the reader needs to picture this bustling city, but without the unneeded data that clutters the story in the first paragraph. My fourth tip is about how to heighten the drama of your story. Place your actions in a context of historical movements. If you were the first woman in your family to get your own bank loan, for instance, you might mention how banks nationally were reacting to the phenomenon of two-worker families and responding to the realities of couples having separate financial lives. This is a historical context. You might include how you were not raised to take responsibility for your own financial life, and you might mention how other women also reacted to this growing movement. In so doing, you have created a panorama of a historical movement. You have created a larger context for your story, a situation that is peopled by an everyman and an everywoman. There are more techniques, of course, than these four, but by utilizing these tips as a starter, you will be able to write a story with an action-driven plot, capable of catching your reader's interest and keeping it. Action is the key to better retention of your reader. In the next video, I will speak about the difference between a story that is written with a dramatic development and a story that merely portrays a dramatic event without paying attention to dramatic development. There is a world of difference between the two. If you would like to explore receiving coaching, help with your memoir on any aspect of memoir writing, know that we offer a 30-minute complimentary get-to-know-you coaching consultation. Oh, and before we go, here's the bonus video I promised you, a link to our video, 7 Basic Elements of a Memoir. This video will help you in so many ways to write a better memoir. And remember, inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it's hard. Good luck writing your stories.